art of reinventing yourself. And I want to speak on Cristiano Ronaldo specifically because I've watched a lot of like stuff of his, like his I don't want to say documentaries, but just stories. I love that kind of thing. Just watching like people, elite sportsmen. Just seeing what they've gone through and them picking themselves up out of the muck and the mire. It's very inspiring for me. And Ronaldo, just think about specifically, there was a time when he got a knee injury, and you've got to think, man. Again, put yourself in that position. He's 29. He's built his career on being a fast, flashy winger. His speed, skills, dribbling, knuckleball free kicks, all this stuff, right? And Messi's won like 4 Ballon d'Ors in a row because he's the goat. But think about that. If you're looking at a career like that, you're like, this guy's career is over. Like, think at that point, 30 used to be the age people would be like, oh man, career is over. Once you hit 30, you're done. And this guy has got this what feels like a career-ending injury. Like when he comes back, he's not going to be the same, and he wasn't. He wasn't anywhere near as fast as he was when he came back from that injury, and he reinvented himself, and he became this change from, okay, I can't be a flashy winger. Let me go switch to being like a goal scorer who gets all these like crazy headers and volleys and scores tap-ins, and like I just score a crap ton of goals. And he reinvents himself to the point where he scored more goals after 30 than he did before 30. And that's crazy. We look at it as like, it's good, it's cool, but it's not like out of the ordinary. But put yourself at that point. This is like early 2010s. A knee injury at that age, like at 29, you're done. Your career's done. Like, pack it up there. You've got your one Ballon d'Or. You've got, your almost 400 goals. You've done decent for yourself. Start slowing down, go and retire. And he's like, no, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to score more goals post 30 than I did before 30. I'm going to go win freaking 4 more Champions Leagues and 4 more Ballon d'Ors. That's insane. And I find that very, very encouraging, to see somebody who's able to reinvent himself like that. And I think it's something we need to take inspiration from. I think if you find yourself in a season like that, it's like, cool. You're in that moment where it's making you who you're going to be. And personally, as somebody who watches sports, like going back to the Cristiano Ronaldo story, I mean, as I said, like I definitely think Messi's the GOAT by far, but I really admire Ronaldo. I love what he's done in his career. Getting a bit annoying with all these petty comments and stuff he's made, but just looking at his career, he's great. Um, he had to reinvent himself, and you find yourself in a position like that where you're in the darkest place of your in your life. You also have to reinvent yourself. And with the Ronaldo story, I appreciate I prefer Ronaldo post 30 than before 30. Like, yeah, it was cool when Ronaldo was doing all the skills and stuff, but I love just watching frick, this guy jumped like 2 meters in the air and score this header. I love him scoring this volley. I love watching, 2016, 2017, 2018, when he's scoring like a brace every game in the knockouts. I love 20. I think it's 2016, 2017, that season. He's got freaking Bayern Munich. He's got those Atletico Madrid. He's got Juventus. I know in 2018 he had PSG, Bayern Munich again, Juventus again. Like, he's got all these top teams, and he's one leg is scoring 2 goals, the next leg is scoring a hat trick. And then the next quarterfinals he's scoring a hat trick against Atletico Madrid, and he's scoring again. I'm like, that's incredible. Like, and we wouldn't have that version of him if he didn't go through what he went through. And you've got to think about that for yourself. It's very difficult when you are in the story to be like, man, the person I can become when I get out of this is going to be so different, but so much better than who I was before this. But you've got to take that view of like the art of reinventing yourself. I love that thing. You've got to learn about the art of reinventing yourself. It's incredible. And I spoke in my last video about finding your bottleneck. And I think those two go hand in hand. If you want to reinvent yourself, you've got to find what that bottleneck is and how you keep, evolving into who you need to become. And I think that's something I pointed out in these stories, is that we tend to look at like the we tend to look at the tall tree, the tree that's grown so tall, and we're like, wow, look at that thing. But we don't look at the roots that it had to grow in order to be able to sustain being that tall. We don't look at that. And you're in the season where you're building the roots. You can't grow into the person you're trying to become without building the foundation that you need. And this is just the season you are in. And I think one of the greatest skills a man can develop is the ability to let old versions of himself die, to reinvent himself, to adapt, and to become someone new. Because life changes, circumstances change, you change. And sometimes the thing that breaks you is introducing you to someone better, a wiser man, a stronger man, a man with deeper faith, more resilience, greater compassion. The breaking isn't pointless. The breaking creates capacity. The storm forces your roots to grow deeper. And one day you'll realize that the things you never would have chosen for yourself gave you something you couldn't have gotten any other way.